I am Joseph Peroni.
Heidi Mancini.
And you are tuned in to VegasAllNetRadio.com. This is the From Grief to Relief show, and we are heard live every Thursday between 2 and 3 p.m. All of our shows are archived for later listening. You can also buy the From Grief to Relief book on Amazon.com.
Our mission statement for our show is to share life experiences, love and courage, and strength to face life and its challenges. Every guest shares their journey through life, hopefully helping others to realize we all face the same fears and challenges. With love, hope, courage, strength, and support, we can help each other live authentic lives.
Paperback writer.
This is Joe Peroni.
And Heidi Mancini.
And you are listening to the From Grief to Relief show on VegasAllNetRadio.com. Our show is authentic, inspiring, challenges the herd mentality, and is designed to improve your life. We are heard every Thursday between 2 and 3 p.m. We are rebroadcast on Friday at 11 p.m. and Wednesday at 3 a.m. You can visit the archive section where we speak about emotional, physical, and spiritual fitness. So let me introduce you to Heidi. She has some big things to say this week.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say that I placed fourth in the MPC, the national, what is it called? The Las Vegas Classic. Yay! Finally, I got a trophy. So yeah, that's my big news for the week. And I'm
first
still
big
floating.
announcement.
Yeah. And my other announcement is Joe's book, From Grief to Relief, can be purchased on Amazon.com. So if you want a good read, you should check that out. Awesome book. And what else? Social media. I took a social media class this week with Irma, and she taught us like different strategies. And Bruce, of course, he taught it too.
Did you learn anything? Because I didn't go.
Yeah, it was a really interesting class. It just gives you to approach your business in a different way as a business and not like a sales thing, which I thought was really beneficial.
And you said
we
that
do own our business. This is a business. It's not a
well,
just
right,
something like a hobby, hobby thing. Well, it is kind of a hobby, but you have to look at it as you're the CEO of your company. This is our show. This is our company, and that's how it should be treated.
we also have to be more specific about what we're selling on here and what we're
we
not
have to
selling.
know what our program is about, and you have to be passionate about what you're talking about, so that people, believe what you're selling or believe what you're. It was basically about sponsorship and how to get people to sponsor the show. And if you treat the show as like you're going in as a salesperson, opposed to going in as the owner of your company, it's a totally different way of approaching it from a business point.
All right, so I was working on this. Tell me if this has a little too much attitude.
Okay.
You ready? Because I listened to some of the other shows, right? You know that. All right, so this is what our show was selling. All right, we are not going to do a 1-hour infomercial. Our show is for adults looking for valuable and usable information. And we are not going to try to stuff as much vulgarity as possible into 1 hour and then try to call it entertainment.
Mm-hmm. True.
True or too much attitude?
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But we have to tell them what our show is about, not what it's not about.
Oh, all right.
So what's it about?
Well, let me go on then. We strive to give about $150 worth of service and awareness to people, which is about the average rate of a marriage and family therapist for 1 hour. And we also use music as part of our discussions to teach.
Yes. My thing was, when I was asked what was the definition or how would you explain your show, I said, you know who I was. I'm Heidi Mancini. I'm from the Grief to Relief show. And our show is about inspiration, hope, living authentic lives, helping each other through crisis and ups and downs and all kinds of things that we offer that have to do with the human factor, health, fitness. And that's pretty much what our deal is.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
But in a positive way, not anything,
And they also said for us to do the thing that I hate to do, which everybody else doesn't seem to have a problem, our bios. Because I don't like to talk about myself, really. So.
Yes, you do, Joe.
Well, not really. I don't know. So go ahead.
Yes, you do. He wants everybody to know that he was in Playgirl in 19
I'll,
what? What year was it? 1983?
1902.
1902?
Do you want to hear my bio?
Yeah, you're not even that 1902.
I'm kidding.
He would have been like freaking 100. I wouldn't want to look at that.
Well, the good part is it was before the internet.
Oh, it was before the internet.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you can't find it unless you really want to find it, or ask my mom.
I have it. It's in the cupboard.
Really?
I pull it out once in a blue moon. I go, not bad.
Yeah, I was a little kid then, just so you know.
You were young.
I was like 22.
You're a youngster.
Yeah. All right, so here's my bio. I have won bodybuilding shows in the 1980s, 90s, 2000, and 2010, which means very few bodybuilders in the world have done this. I have won over 4 decades long. So now I sound like an arrogant idiot. That's why I don't want to do bios. But that is a fact. Mm-hmm. I am also a National Physique Committee judge. I have just in case, you don't think I have a brain, I have a Bachelor of Science in Corporate Fitness. I also have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I'm a personal trainer. And what else? Oh, a model, Playgirl model. But just because I've had this, it's not an argument, but just like this conversation in the gym. When I was a Playgirl model in the 80s,
yeah,
you actually had to be asked by them. Or you did modeling jobs because major corporations would want you. Mm-hmm. And so you get called into Manhattan or whatever and to do a photo shoot. Today, everybody thinks that they're a model because they put their picture on Facebook and they get like 20 likes and they go, ooh, I'm a model.
Yeah, I got like 140 on mine.
Yeah. Or their friend next door, their friend next door makes a T-shirt and puts a couple little, whatever they call it.
Bedazzles on it?
Yeah, they put a few little bedazzling things on it, and they wear it, and all of a sudden they say that they're modeling clothes. Mm-hmm. That's not what I did, just so you know. No, and nowadays, you can also go to the store, whatever they do on the computer, and you can make your own calendars.
You can do Photoshop. It's awesome.
Right. That's not the kind of model I was. The calendars that I did, I was asked to do. Mm-hmm. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. If I'm going to do a bio, I might as well do the bio, right? I might as well come across as not a little arrogant. Let's just go full force and just go with it if I'm going to do it.
Just might as well go with it. And anyway. My bio is not as exciting as Joe's, by the way, because let's see, what am I? I don't have a hard time talking about myself. I'm a very spiritual person, and I love people, and I'm like the helper. I think one of my reasons I was put on the planet was to be the helper in some capacity or another. I do have a cosmetology license. I've been a hairstylist for 25 years. I have a daughter who's 18 right now, and I don't define myself by my child, but she is a huge part of my life, and having a baby has taught me a lot, about myself and helped me grow in different ways. What else? I work out. I train. I've been doing a couple shows, like 3. This is my 4th show. And I finally was able to get a 4th place trophy, which I'm really, really proud of.
And we will talk about that more.
I worked my butt off. And by the way, it's probably it's the first and only trophy I've ever earned in my whole life. So, I've always been a go-getter and I've always been a hard worker. But most of my thing in life has been about, I just like to help other people some way, make people feel good. I'm like everybody's cheerleader most of the time. But like I said, I don't have a college education, a formal college education, but I have an education in life, if that means anything. I've been through a lot of things. Well,
you as a hairdresser, I can tell you know more than 90% of the counselors that I work with.
Yeah, I have a lot of experience because being behind the chair, and I'm a good listener, and I think that's about it. So I'm always thinking about, we do the radio show together, which is another thing I could say I do, which is just another extension of the personalities that we have. My personalities, I like to talk and I do like to help. It's not as exciting as yours. I wasn't a Playgirl or anything, or Playboy. I wasn't a Playboy person because I was just, not in good shape most of my life, and it wasn't something I wanted to do. I was always shy and
well, it's all the better. You're the one that turned into.
I could have been a chubby one, but I didn't want to be a chubby one.
So you want to start the show?
Sure.
All right. Our show today is Emotional Fitness, a guideline to prepare, confront, and grow from the challenges of life. This could be anything. Emotional fitness, it handles every part of your life here. Now, we've talked about physical fitness. One of the things is that you want to be physically fit so you can do certain challenges, such as like Heidi did in this figure show. Mm-hmm. But people don't think about being emotionally fit to run their life or to be in a relationship.
True.
Which is something you should think about before you get there. Because emotionally fit people, they can handle the future challenges, and there will be, right? It allows you to confront the challenges now, which, going by percentages, most people can't do that.
No.
About 15% of people in the United States are alcoholics, so they obviously have a problem confronting their challenges.
Well, not to interrupt you or anything, but you and I have talked about this stuff before, and a lot of it, 90% of it stems from everybody's childhood years, and I think that to be in a relationship, I think there's always going to be issues on an emotional level, because I don't think most people that are adults, they are adults. I think they're still in their child, and they never learned how to cope, so that's why people are alcoholics. That's why people eat. That's why people do a lot of things, because they found some way to self-soothe their body, whether it be through drugs, alcohol, food, mutilation, because that's something that everybody's doing. That seems to be the new thing everybody wants to do. We cut ourselves, we tattoo the hell out of our bodies, and it feels good. I don't even know half of the stuff that's out there that people do, but a lot of this dysfunction, unless people are treated as children as they grow, it's always going to be an issue, I think.
Well, that's true, and that's part of why we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
And then as people hit challenges, what happens is that they not never, but a lot of people don't tend to grow from their challenges. What they do is that they revert back into their childhood. They get even worse.
But I think a lot of people don't know how to deal with their stuff, too, that in a smart way. Like with our relationship, you being a counselor, and I've had some hard times, and people say, oh, you guys are the perfect couple. You never have any problems, this and that. Well, let me tell you. Anybody that's been together long enough, somebody's always making the relationship better, and somebody might be not doing their part to not, nurture that relationship. So with our relationship, because you do have a counseling background, and you kind of can look at things when they're happening and go, wait a minute, that's not really you talking right now. And I'm learning from you, like your behaviors and things too. There's things about you that I can pinpoint now and say, that's something from your childhood. That's something that, you still hold on to, where I don't want to say normal people, regular people, whatever it is, they don't look into that deeply. They have a fight.
Yeah. Well, that's part of what counseling is. It's not about telling people what to do or advice. Like people watch Oprah or whatever they do, Dr. Phil, and they give advice. That's not counseling. Counseling is when you bring somebody to an awareness so they can make the correct decisions for themselves.
And how to deal with their stuff,
Here's something funny I was thinking. We just saw it yesterday. That Jimmy Kimmel skit where the parents told the children that they ate their Halloween candy.
Oh, that was excellent.
And for like 6 minutes, these kids, different kids were going crazy. They were crying and screaming that they didn't have their candy. And, part of it was I thought the parents were pretty bad for doing that, number one, just because they wanted to get on TV. But the other part of it is this. When you see the kids whining and crying and stamping their feet because they need candy, I thought, this isn't just a children problem. These children grow into adults, and they act the same exact way. I heard a guy this week whining and crying and using a lot of racial slurs, let's say, that I'm not going to say on the radio. And he was saying it because he supposedly lost his health care insurance. And I'm like, okay, so I he's on Facebook like every hour for like 12 hours, mouthing off. The next day he gets on there and says, oh, I didn't realize they threw me off my health insurance program because if anything bad happened, they weren't going to pay. So it was such a bad program that it was denied. In other words, the new program you have to have now, it has to pay.
Right.
So what he did was, he found out that there was like 9 other programs he could do. The one that he picked not only gave him more coverage and would actually pay out if he needed it, it was cheaper. So he says, never mind. And I'm thinking, okay, here's a really unmanly move from a guy just whining, crying, complaining. Why are you doing that? Why, if the first thing you do, instead of finding out the appropriate information in trying to fix the problem, assessing the situation. First thing he does is go public on Facebook and show everybody what a child he is. Now, this is not a political conversation, just in case someone wants to turn it. I'm talking about anyone who faces a problem in life. That is emotional fitness right there, or lack of on his part.
Yeah, he's learned what works for him, and it's obviously the whining and complaining. Because even when you're dealing with a small child, that I remember my daughter throwing tantrums and stuff, and I went to the pediatrician. I said, "What the heck?" I said, "She screams and she yells and she throws herself on the floor and starts whipping things around the house." I said, "How the heck?" I said, "Because then I want to haul off and smack her." I can say that. I know most people wouldn't say that, but and my pediatrician said, "Ignore her." Because as soon as she learns that whatever she does, you're going to rise to the occasion, you're going to, you're going to give her what she wants to make her quiet. She's going to go through life thinking that, well, if I stomp my feet, cry, yell, whatever response or whatever negative thing people do to get what they want, she would learn that, and that's what she would do as she grows up.
Right. It's interesting. You know what? My father a long time ago told me, he goes, if you think I'm wrong, all you have to do is tell me. Tell me your reasoning. And I might not think you're right, but I'll listen to it. And sometimes I got away with stuff. Like I could remember a time with my mom, actually. I was young, I don't know, 11 years old, let's say. I wanted to stay up to watch a show that was really too late for me. And she was like, "You need to go to bed." I said, "I want to watch the show." And so what I did was I gave her my thought on why I should be able to stay up. And she actually listened. And my reason for saying that I was entitled, in a sense, to stay up is because I had straight A's in school. I was doing well in my sports. And I've never missed, I don't miss days of school. I haven't done anything wrong.
Right.
So what's wrong with staying up for one more hour? She listened to that and she rewarded me with that. She probably doesn't remember this, but I do.
Which is good, because a lot of parents wouldn't have done that. They would have said, "You're the child. I told you to get to bed.
Right, but what it does is it teaches self-esteem, because I knew that I could come up to her and ask her in a way and defend myself because I had done all the right things.
Right.
It doesn't mean that she was going to say yes, but I was confident in going to her because I had done the right things. Now, if I knew that I had straight F's and D's or whatever, I would not approach her.
Well, not to whatever, I'm still on the same subject, but last week when we had Dr. Garcia on, he had made a thing about bullying, and as you get older, it's worse. And one of the things, when you were just talking, is that, a lot of times people still, as adults, are still brats. And what I mean by that is that they're never confronted. Like, I know people, I'm sure you know people that act like total jerks most of the time, or they're arrogant or whatever they are, and nobody ever calls them out on their stuff because they're afraid, either because the person has power, some kind of power. The person that has the power knows they have it. So they've learned at a very young age that power means a lot of times you can do and say whatever you want.
Right.
So even as adults, it just becomes more high tech. I mean, not to get back into the bullying thing, I'm not talking about that, but what I'm saying is that a lot of this emotional fitness, sometimes people will go through their whole lives and they never get better because now they're adults doing the same things as they did for children. They've just learned how to tweak it and become a little bit more masterful at doing it. And I know a couple people right off the top of my head I could say they're like that. And they never get called out.
Well, bullying starts young. It goes on through adulthood, and really the base of it is all fear.
Right. And people say, well, why doesn't anybody ever tell them what a jerk they are? I said, well, good would it do? You're going to tell them they're a jerk. They already know they're a jerk, and it's not going to change. It's not going to change anything.
So in order for you to place in this last show, did you need more physical fitness to do well compared to your first show, or more emotional fitness?
More emotional fitness. Mental. I had to cut people out. I had to tell people I can't train with you. I had to stop listening to everybody's bullshit, because everybody comes to me with all their problems and all their crap. And, and again, I don't begrudge that I'm the helper. And I think that's one of the reasons why most of my life I've wanted somebody to support me a little bit, because when I was younger, I didn't have cheerleaders. I didn't have, and it was no fault of my parents. It was just that if you did something, you did it, and big deal if you did it. If you didn't, it was no big deal too. I learned from my contest before that. I was being pulled in many different directions, and I was kind of told then, you need to decide to do this show and do it and learn to say no, or don't do the show and do what you want.
Well,
because
let me throw in something here. You said you were being pulled in many different directions.
Yeah.
Okay. You allowed yourself.
I allowed myself.
to be
Because my
pulled in many
priorities
different
have to
directions.
be with my family and myself first. And what I was allowing to happen was other people to influence my life and say, I need you for this, I need you for that. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? You know, my daughter, for some reason, her timing is always perfect. She always does something to, you know, it always seems around the time I'm trying to do something. So, you know, this time around I said, I don't care what anybody does. I mean, I even told myself, if God forbid my daughter ends up doing some stupid, cutting herself, whatever it is that she might pull to ruin this for me, I can't allow that to affect me in any way. I had friends and I had clients. I love my friends that I was working out with, helping them with their fitness goals. And I basically told everybody, you're done. I cannot work out with you anymore because I have to focus on me. And it was really difficult for me to do that because I want to be able to help people. But I also knew that if I didn't focus on what I was supposed to do, my training, by the way, my trainer too was after me, you know, you're either going to do this right or don't do it, but you need to listen to what I'm telling you. So it was about me, but it was also about the person and the people, including you, Joe, that were trying to help me reach that goal, were giving me the advice that I'm sure worked for them.
Right, which
in
you
the past.
You didn't get it right the first time, did you? Or the second, or the third, or the fourth?
No, because I thought that I could multitask and I could take care of me and I could also take care of everybody else at the same time. And what I learned was I can't take care of everybody else while I'm trying to do something for myself.
So you learned the power of the word no.
No.
So how does it feel to learn the power of the word no?
It feels good because you get more respect when you say no. Unfortunately, you know, that's the way it is. You just, people, they'll take until you set that boundary and say, I can't do this. I can't do it for you. Sorry. And everybody's managed. It's ironic because a couple of the girls I haven't even seen at the gym since I stopped training with them. And, you know, now, of course, that my show's over with. I got people are asking me, would you work out with me a couple days a week? And sure, I'll work out with you a couple days a week.
See, now they look up to you.
But if I decide to do another show, they already know that when I say I'm done working out with you, you figure it out, they'll be fine with it.
Right.
Because they realize, too, that by me setting those boundaries, I did good. I did.
So you learned
really
some
good.
assertiveness.
Yeah.
Right, which teaches them, too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure you made a lot of mistakes during these shows. Now, that's what we do. That's what these shows are. You know, they
Yeah.
kind of judge you, and you can see. So what do you think about the word fail now? Is there a word fail? Like, what I'm getting at is in this country, everybody is so afraid to try because they're so willing to run away from failure that
Yeah.
they don't even want to try. And if they fail, they quit. It brings out the worst in us. You know, like we've
I don't
mentioned
think there's
already.
such thing as failing. I think if you do the best that you can do, and I don't care. I mean, I nobody has said to me, well, it's only a fourth place trophy. You know, I would never say that to anybody because I realize, you know, any effort that's given towards anything, whether it's first, second, last, 100th, it doesn't matter. You know, if you set a goal and you do it from beginning to end and you did the best that you could do, that's not a failure to me. And that's, you know, for me, I was perfectly happy. And the day that I competed, which was weird, the year before that, I was so like nervous about everything and I wanted to do well, and I was like so hell-bent on, you know, I don't even know, my whole focus was different last show, and this time I said, you know what, screw you people, you know, the judges and everything, not that I don't have respect for the judges, but I came to a point in my life where I said, you know what, I've trained my ass off 6 days a week, I've dieted, I've done everything I was told I should do, and I made my body the best, my body. You know, the best for me and what my specific goals were. So I reached them, and I was a month ahead of schedule with everything. And I was so happy. I said, I looked at myself in my suit and I said, you know what, for 48 years old, I used to smoke. I used to be 45 pounds overweight. I didn't have a good self-esteem. I was a little down on myself because of the shit that's happened with my daughter over the years and things like that. And I finally said, you know what, that doesn't define me at all. What defines me is that I'm going to start crying.
It's all right. I'll take over for you. You know, as a judge, which I did not judge Heidi, by the way, I gave my paperwork over to a different judge for that. But as judges, watching you come up through these ranks, not doing as well as you want to or not living up to your own expectations. When you watch somebody start to meet the expectations, we're all very appreciative of that because that's part of what we do. We're not there to make people feel bad. We're there to judge, of course, to put the placements in there. But when anybody asks us what they need to move up the ladder, we tell them in a nice way. So when somebody doesn't do well or they fail, we don't actually use the word fail. Fail is not in our vocabulary. Part of emotional fitness is to learn how to fail successfully. You can just use a straight line. But let me finish it because it's important. But failing is not part of our vernacular. We don't use that. For us, it's not meeting our expectations, number one. And number two, all it is corrective feedback. That's what it is. It just helps you to become better. Mm-hmm. And it's never a stumbling block for us.
No.
It's just we use the stumbling block like most people would fall. We take them, we build them up, and we use them as stairs to get up a little bit higher.
But other people, too, have a tendency to try to stop people and get in their way a lot of times. And people are fearful of, stepping back and allowing themselves to do what they really want to do,
Right, and it stops them their whole life.
And it stops them. And I just was at a point, and my client, I can't talk right now, one of my clients had asked me, and I said, one of the reasons I did it, too, was not for anything. It wasn't for jokes. A lot of people say, oh, well, your boyfriend's a trainer, that's why. No, when my daughter was going through all her crap a couple years ago, there's part of my personality that I've done things in my past that, I'm not really proud of. And I said, you know what, I'm either going to self-destruct again and do things to myself that I don't want to do, or I'm going to turn this around to positive. So that's when I started hitting the gym, and I started just training the shit out of myself. And it was a way for me to take out my anger. It was a way for me to hurt in a physical way, sometimes to take my mind off of the other stuff that was going on. But as far as me, this show goes, I didn't even care about a trophy, and that's the honest. I was like, I felt really good going out on stage, and I was like, I don't care what you people think. This is about me right now.
Well, that's the part that I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. It's just that when you have emotional fitness, when you do that well, it's because you've done all the things. Just to line this up a little bit more with what we're talking about, you've learned to say no. Mm-hmm. You've learned self-care. You've learned to put yourself first when needed, mm-hmm. so you can be more to the other people around you. You've learned how to be assertive, mm-hmm. and not be a doormat. All these things help.
But even in our relationship, doing the contest too, there was a lot of times I felt guilty because, not that I still did it when I would come home and I'd say, Joe, I got to do cardio. And I'd run out in the garage and jump on the treadmill. Or I would go to the gym. There was times that I was like, you know what? I hope he doesn't get mad. But you were understanding, but there was a little bit.
But that's part of your emotional mm-hmm. fitness, to understand that you can be with an adult. Mm-hmm. If you have to do something for yourself, you have to understand that the people around you mm-hmm. are adults and they can handle that. Your guilt has nothing to do with me.
Right.
It has to do with whatever was in your past. Right?
Yeah.
So there should be no guilt. So that's another part of emotional fitness. You don't have guilt for things that you didn't do wrong.
Right.
You got to take care of yourself sometimes. So here's another one for you about competing. And it doesn't matter if it's competition. It could be going for a job. It could be relationships. It could be anything. If you lose, you're never actually a loser unless you give up or you start making excuses and blaming others. Mm-hmm. And I think you've probably learned that too.
I learned that last year when I competed last year, and I said, what the heck was that, And basically it was like, these are the things that you need to do. And then I made a decision too. I said, you know what, I'm not going to compete in 3 months. I remember talking to you about it, and I talked to Diana, and I said, you know what, I don't think it's best right now that I try to do another show. What I need to do is I need to prepare another 9 months, and I really need to set a program in place. And I have to, because for me, my personality is I can't be all over the place trying to do stuff. I have to be structured, and I have to have an actual, plan in front of me for things to work. And I said to her, listen, I don't think I'm going to do the show in April. I want to prepare for November because I want to do the best I can do. What do I need to do? Between you and her, you guys came up with an awesome plan. And if it wasn't for your support and her coaching and everybody I had helping me out, I wouldn't have been able to do it either. So I felt like I had a really good support system.
Which is also part of emotional health. You can't do it always alone.
No.
But I think every time that someone offered you candy or cake or whatever, and you said no, this time, instead of feeling guilty, you got a little more strong. You've felt a little more dignified. And you realize what it is to be emotionally strong, because that's what comes at first. I mean, I've competed before, and I've competed and I've won with a broken wrist. Doesn't really matter. I focus on the prize and not the negatives.
Right.
And that's all part of what we're talking about here.
And I think that's with anything. It can be a bodybuilding contest. It can be, your job and anything. If you put your mind to something, you can't let people get in your way. And I don't know why people do that. I've done it at times too. I've gotten a little jealous or a little bit stupid over things. And, you shouldn't be like that when you're with somebody that you care about. But sometimes it does become a little bit of a competition. And that's just in the insecurities that come out because you're like, I don't want this person to think I'm not good enough because now they're better and whatever you perceive as better. And
well, it's a good point you make. Jealousy, again, that's emotional weakness. All that is fear. And typically you're jealous of the people you care about the most because you don't want that person thinking bad about you because they might be ascending up the ladder and you don't know if you can.
Or if you want to even, and there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, some people, are content to let their spouses or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you go to college, do what you want. I'm fine being home making my crafts, But, at the end of the day, you just have to be supportive. And I've learned a lot through this whole thing about myself and about my relationships and my relationship with you. And, it's just
So you want to take a little break?
Yeah.
You look like you can use a little break.
Yeah, I don't know what's
So,
wrong.
Randy, let's play this song right here, and I'll talk over the beginning, because I know the beginning's like 40 seconds or so. Anyway, so this song that we're going to go into here, it's Jerry Rafferty, and it does talk about emotional health, just like we're talking about today. Specifically, he talks about learning from your mistakes and not to worry, because if you mess it up, don't worry, you will get it right next time. This is Jerry Rafferty with Get It Right Next Time. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Axel from the next phase of the Industrial Revolution, and when I need inspiration, I listen to Heidi and Joe on Vegas AllNet Radio.
This is Joe Peroni.
And Heidi Mancini.
And you're back listening to the From Grief to Relief show. We're talking about emotional fitness. And you ready to do more? You okay?
Sure, I'm okay. I'm just emotional this week for some reason.
Yeah. All right. So let's go with this. Do you know, my mom liked this song, I think, a long time. She liked the Bee Gees. She liked that, what's his name? One of the
Barry
Gibbs.
Gibb.
Barry Gibb, is that
He
the
was
one?
so cute with his long hair and everything.
That's what I hear, but I am a
beard,
heterosexual man,
his
so
mustache.
I don't.
He had a nice chest, too.
He sounded like a girl, though.
But he sounded like a girl.
Yeah.
You know, when he did that, I got to tell you a story behind that. That was when they did, what was it? Not Saturday Night Live. What was it? Staying Alive. And he did the track for that, and he changed his voice, and they go, hey, you sound really good. You should do that all the time. So that's what he did. And that's a real story.
Well, they did make money. There's no doubt. And over time, I don't want to say I liked it, but I have a little appreciation.
If you listen to their earlier music, he didn't sing like that.
Nothing like that. But one of those songs was called How Do You Mend a Broken Heart? And I got to be honest, it's not a bad song. It's a good ballad. But the thing that bothers me about that song is that you listen to it for 4 minutes and he never has an answer. At the end, he sounds like a pathetic man who's done, he's lost, he's finished. He never finishes it in a nice way, and he doesn't give you any ideas about how to mend a broken heart. And it sounds to me like a guy who entered a relationship and didn't know what relationships are.
Right.
Right? Because if you're in a relationship, at some point, you're going to go through some pain, especially the way it's going to end.
Yeah.
All relationships end, right?
Yep.
I mean, if you're married, you're either going to get divorced, about 50% of people, or one of you is going to die, or you're going to both die at the same time. So you have to know what you're getting into before you start. Mm-hmm. You agree?
Yep.
All right. So let me be a little more specific here. A broken heart. Let's talk about that. Pain, because you're going to get pain and suffering, but pain is more of the physical part of it. Right? Even if it's not physical as a broken bone to you, you're going to feel that broken heart. Mm-hmm. You know, I get that in the beginning. But after that, the suffering that you get is mostly emotional. Mm-hmm. It's more like what we call toxic nostalgia. It's like you keep ruminating and running the same stuff back over and over and over in your head, feeling bad. So it's more about it's not what happened, it's what you're thinking about what happened.
Right.
You know, I've been in a bereavement group, and I had to get out of there after the first week because some people were there for like 8 years. They're still rehashing the old stuff, and they're spending all of their time worrying about the past that cannot be changed.
True.
And instead of extracting all the good, beautiful, loving things from the past, all they do is worry about stuff that they can't change, and they cry about the past, and they spend almost no time looking towards the future. Which I thought that was really odd. I learned that within like the first week or two of that, of going there. I thought, well, this is really unproductive.
But the old, not to interrupt you, but were they old?
Most of them were. They were definitely older than me.
Because that sometimes is an age thing too. They're at the end of their rope. They think, like who's going to love them, who's going to find them attractive at that age.
Right, but all that is rumination.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't feel bad or I don't have empathy, but I'm saying why? Why are they doing this? How is it helping? It's not helping.
I wonder if counselors ever ask people that. Why are you doing this?
I don't know if they have the guts most of the time.
Why are you doing that?
But basically these people suffer without the original pain. So the pain is still, the suffering is existing without the original pain, so it's a waste of time. So let me I'll get a little more specific here, just so you know exactly where I stand on this subject, which might even anger you a little bit, because it might sound a little bit callous to most people. But let me just say it. If you love anyone or anything, you're going to experience pain. Mm-hmm. True. To avoid pain, simple. Just never love anyone or anything. Right?
Yep.
Simple. That's what you do. But however, if you never love anyone or anything, you will definitely experience pain, and you'll experience it even more intensely, but this time you'll experience it without ever having experienced any pleasure at all.
True.
So that's not a good equation. Therefore, to love equals happiness and pain, but not loving equals only suffering and pain. So I will choose love. It's really simple. So if you want to know the question here, how do you mend a broken heart? Number one, by living up to the dignity of the loss that is causing you the pain. It's simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, living sad, living unproductive, you know, living the least of you instead of the most out of what you can get out of life, that's not a tribute to the person you lost.
But
let me tell you what it is. Because I know you want to step on it because you think I'm saying something bad.
I'm going to say, no, I'm not saying anything bad. What I'm saying to you is that
it is absolutely 100% disrespectful to live the rest of your years as a pathetic human being.
Absolutely right. I'm not even going to argue that point. What I'm going to say to you again is, as a culture, we make people that lose their loved ones feel guilty if they do start dating or they do start enjoying life. People will say, oh my God,
but honestly,
his wife has only been gone a month
listen,
and he's out dating. What's wrong with him?
But honestly, I don't care about the culture. That's why
most people do.
But that's why we're in the pathetic situation that we're in. We coddle people. We enable people. Like we talked about in the beginning, these children crying about their candy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do with adults. We need to be adults about this.
True.
You know, and I can speak because I've been there. And I can tell you, it doesn't make me mean. I can tell you right now, if I die in a car accident on the way home, I'm not saying you need to be bringing a date to my funeral, but I swear as I'm saying it right now and I'm being recorded, if within 6 months you're not out there at least having a good time and smiling and enjoying your life and probably enjoying it with somebody else, I will haunt you until your last days. There is no way that you would ever honor me by being a pathetic creature sitting in a bar, getting yourself drunk. You know, that's the other thing we do in this world, is that in this country, everyone is afraid of feelings. You're supposed to feel. Feel it as hard as you can. The depth of the pain that you feel is equal to the depth of the love that you had. You need to experience it. I love that pain. I don't have it any other way. I would want that pain because it just shows how much I cared. But then it shows the dignity of that relationship to move on and to be better. Mm-hmm. You grow from it.
Right.
And I'm telling you right now, as I look in your eye, you better do the same. Don't honor me by being pathetic.
I wouldn't. You shouldn't do that with me either. But I'm just saying, as a society, that unfortunately, because it was said when you started dating, and let's not get into that, but,
right, but
oh my God, his wife's only been gone a couple months.
But this is what we're talking about today, emotional fitness.
Like, so what?
The emotional fitness.
It's not about me. He wasn't dating me. He was dating somebody else. Randy. Randy's looking like, what? No, I wasn't the first. I was like...
He's not on the microphone.
I know, Randy, it's okay if you talk.
Again, let me go back. Emotional fitness goes against the usual. Mm-hmm. You're allowed to be a salmon and go upstream. The average, and like you said, true, in society, people will talk because they want you to be in pain all the time. They want you to be pathetic because that's where they would be. Mm-hmm. Just the same thing when you want to go on a diet, they want you to eat cheeseburgers. They want you to eat candy. It's really no different. At some point, you have to stand up and be the leader, and it's okay to be one.
Sure.
And don't feel bad about being the dignified one. You know, there's some of the things that I was going through when I was going through my grief, and that was, you have to understand the laws of nature. You know, like the first thing a lot of people do is say, why me? Well, first of all, that's very egocentric. Why me? I walked out of the hospital alive. I was the lucky one. It's not why me, it's why her. You know, and whatever somebody's going through, it's why them. It's when you get out of that, it's all about me, my candy, my food, my money, my relationship. It's not. When you love somebody, it's about what you give, not what you take. Mm-hmm. So when the other person dies or leaves, even if you're in a relationship and they say, listen, it's not working out, I need to break up with you, there's a part of you that should be okay. If you love that person and you know that they think that they would be happier somewhere else, you should kiss them goodbye happily. So, Do you really want them with you as an unhappy human being who wishes they were with somebody else?
No.
Now, again, you could say the other side, but there is no other side. The other side is weak and a little bit pathetic and enabling and childlike. The person with emotional fitness is a person of love. They want the other person to do what's best for them. Mm-hmm. And if that is to be with somebody else, then you need to kiss them goodbye. Mm-hmm. And be happy about it. Now, as a human being, I wouldn't be happy about it immediately.
Right.
But over time, you will be. You know, that's just part of the things about nature. Mm-hmm. Love does that. Love does not want to grab people by the throat and hold them.
Right.
And the other thing about why me, too, is when somebody dies. Let me tell you why me. Because we're humans. Because every living thing that has ever existed has died. So the question, why me, doesn't make sense. All living things will die. Mm-hmm. So get off of that, nostalgia, this tragic, living in the past. It's just a fact. Mm-hmm. It's the way nature works. Being emotionally stable, people understand that. There is no going through 10 years more of why me, how did that happen? Mm-hmm. It happened because they were human. And you have to celebrate the life that they led.
Right. But I think people, too, they should be allowed their time, too, to feel whatever they need to feel.
Absolutely, yes.
But I agree with you there, that they don't have to be going on for the next 20 years.
Right. And you have to accept the fact that when you're in a relationship, there's always going to be pleasure with pain. Mm-hmm. That's part of it. It's like going to a restaurant and ordering 5 steaks and 3 bottles of wine. You have all the fun you can with the person, and then when the bill comes due, you walk out the back door. That should not be.
Right.
Listen, if I had sex with you 100 times a year for 10 years, that's 1,000 times, and all of a sudden I die. We've had many pleasurable experiences. That means when I die, you're going to look the other way and be sad for the rest of your life.
No.
You should be able to either get up and do a very good eulogy, even though it might hurt. You can do that for one time only, considering all the good experiences. That's just payback. At some point, all bills become due and payable. Mm-hmm. And if you can't do that, then get someone else to do it. But don't run away from it.
Right.
You can't. To me, it's very disrespectful. Mm-hmm. As a virtuous human being, I don't think you would show that kind of disrespect to another human being. That's how I mend a broken heart. Mm-hmm. I show the relationship the dignity that it deserves. To go along with the pain-pleasure principle, childbirth. I'm sure you experienced great pain. Mm-hmm. 2 minutes after that, you had your child.
Yeah.
Great pleasure.
It's worth it.
The first time you had sex, I'm sure, was not a pleasurable experience.
No.
Might be some pain or whatever it was, all right? After a while, is sex pleasurable?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every bit of your self-improvement. Did you go through pain to get where you're going?
Yeah.
Of course you did. Is it pleasurable when you get a trophy now for the first time?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the only thing we're fighting for is love, right? Yeah. And you show love for everybody who's died before you, all your relatives, by living the best life you can. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take a little break now because I definitely want to play this song here. This is a song by Roger Daltrey. It's called Without Your Love, and it does speak about the power of love. And if you do shut down and you don't accept love into your life, it will be impossible to find any happiness. And here it is, Roger Daltrey.
You can show me the way, give me a sunny day. But what does it mean without your love? And if I could travel far, if I could touch the stars, where would I be without your love? Sail today, where would I go without what does it mean without your love? And if I could travel far, if I could touch the stars, where would I be without your love? And if I ever wander away too far, you come looking for me with open arms. I could forget my home, feel like a rolling stone. But who would I be without your love? And what does it mean without your love? Where would I be?
Hi, this is Steiner from Sweetie Pie Records. When I'm in Las Vegas, I listen to From Grief to Relief and Vegas Allnet Radio.
This is Joe Peroni,
And Heidi Mancini.
and you are back listening to the From Grief to Relief show. We're talking about emotional fitness. We only have, 2 minutes to go. So let me try to finish this up for you. Emotionally fit people, they attach themselves to the attaining of goals rather than people, places, and things to find happiness. Mm-hmm. So if you believe that, you could believe in this other thing that got me through some hard times. People ask me, well, how can I, go back to dating so quick? How can I go to school? How can I do all these things and not really show a lot of after effects of grief? Mm-hmm. It's because I'm the power source, is what I call it. When you're the power source, let's just say you're the electricity, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say you're running a toaster, a TV, these types of things, and the TV goes out. Yeah. What happens is you can get another TV. It's not a problem because I'm the one running the show. I'm the power source. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So my happiness is based upon who I am as a human being. And if I have dignity within myself, then hopefully I attract the right kinds of people. Right. So what happens is, not to be mean or anything, but I wasn't the one who died. I'm still the power source. I'm here. Mm-hmm. And until I still breathe, I will make the most out of my life and do the best I can for the community. Mm-hmm. There's no negativity within me. So to me, I continue to say that love is not just one thing you have for a individual person. Because if you have someone who you only love one person, I'm not so sure that love is not based on dependency. Right. Let's say or something like that. Because people who truly love everything in the world. They love every breath they take. Mm-mm. You buying into this, or is it making you sound mean? Okay, I think we're out of time.
Okay, thank you everybody for listening to our show, and hope to hear from you next week.
This is Joe Peroni.
And Heidi Mancini.
And you've been listening to the From Grief to Relief show.
Thank you.